Good afternoon, it is Saturday the 22nd of March. It's just coming up to 2:30 and I'm just setting off now. Yeah, hopefully if you watched yesterday's video, or last night should I say, yeah, hopefully I'm going to stay out longer and it's not going to be a bit of a disaster. You know, I'm hoping it's supposed to be a bit warmer. It's saying it's 19 degrees. I mean, it's warm, but it's not 19 degrees. Hopefully more people are coming out. I know it's basically like the weekend before payday for a lot of people. So, I don't know, let's see what happens, but yeah, if it's anything like last night, you know, I should be home again for about 9-10 o'clock tonight. So, yeah, only time will tell, and I'll keep you posted. So, it's just after 4:30, running about 5 or 10 minutes late from a little bit of an update. It's been a little bit busy. So yeah, it's been 2 hours. First hour, was it the first hour? Sorry, let me just double check. Yeah, started at 2:30, so waited about 20 minutes. Thought it was longer than that, to be honest. Had my first job, which was Burscough to Southport. So basically I'd left Burscough, got towards Ormskirk, and then this job popped up. It was £11.94, 16-minute job for 6 miles, but then it did probably run about 2 miles back for it, but there was nothing else happening. All the jobs that was coming up that it was offering me were miles away, like 7-8 miles away in Skem, where I didn't want to go. As soon as I dropped them off, I then had an XL job, which was Southport back to Ormskirk. That was £21.93. Took 28 minutes because there was loads of traffic in Southport, bumper to bumper, because obviously the nice weather. And it was 8.4 miles. So that was then pretty much was that the first hour? Just trying to think. That first job was at 22. Dropped there off, waited about, yeah, no. Yeah, and then I got into, then I was in Ormskirk. I done a £5.21, a 7-minute job. It was 1.9 miles. Then had another little small job, £3.82, 4 minutes for 1 mile. And then I've just done a £6.67, 8 minutes for 3.6 miles. So just shy of £50. So it's about £25 an hour for the first 2 hours. I've took accepted two reservation jobs. I don't know how this first one's going to pan out, because I think they've probably made a mistake. So it popped up first, and it said it was Ormskirk to Southport. So I thought, oh, that's not too bad, and it was offering £27.42. So I thought, yeah, I'll accept that. I did have to pick someone else up on the way, so I thought that's fine. So I accepted it, and then when I look back at it after I dropped a customer off, I think they've made a mistake, because it's saying I'm picking them up from Ormskirk. I'm driving to Lord Street in Southport, which is like the main road where the bars are, and then coming back to Ormskirk to another house about half an hour away from where the original collection was. So what I suspect they were supposed to book was obviously pick them up, drive half a mile away around the corner to pick the friend up, and then both go to Lord Street in Southport. However, that's not what's on the job. And it'd be a bit strange to pick someone up to drive to Lord Street, because it just says Lord Street, which tells you people are going out for a drink. If it was somewhere in particular, a restaurant, people always type that in. So when you just put Lord Street in, it's basically you just drop them off and they're just having a wander around the bars. So yeah, I'm supposed to be picking them up at 6:20. So no doubt when I pick them up, I say, "Are you going straight to Lord Street now?" They'll be like, "Oh no, pick my mate up from around the corner." I don't know how that's going to affect it, because obviously Uber's now got this down as a 45-minute job, which is 18 miles from Ormskirk to Southport back to Ormskirk. So do I get them to change it? Can they change it if it is a reservation? Can you even change it now that it's booked? Because I know that if they cancel that within, like, I think it's 40 minutes, you get the full price of the job. Or do I pick them up and say, I assume you're going to Lord Street? They say, oh no, I'm picking my mate up round the corner. So do I then just go and pick the mate up and then take them both to Lord Street and then say, right, okay, the job's completed? do I then get the full amount, or does Uber AI look at that and say, hold on a sec, the job's not complete because you're in Lord Street, you've only done half the job? I'm not sure, so I'll see what happens anyway when I pick them up. So then I think because Uber is under the impression that I'm basically picking them up, taking them to Southport and then coming back to Ormskirk, by its calculations I'm then going to be back in Ormskirk for about 7:05. So it's then offered me this other reservation job, which is a 7:30 in Ormskirk. It's going 2 miles or 6 minutes, and it's offering £19.75. So obviously I accepted that little 2.5 mile job for 20 quid, not too bad. So yeah, but obviously if I'm picking them two up and I'm just dropping them off on Lord Street in Southport, then that's like 15 minutes away. So then I'll have to just bounce around for a little bit and then make my way back to Ormskirk again to do that £20 job. But I don't know, I'll see what happens anyway, just kind of go off the flow. But yeah, that's about it up to now. I did accidentally accept a job before, so then, you know, I cancelled it within like 2 seconds. I accepted it because I was messing around on the app. It was miles away for like £3.80 or something stupid, so I cancelled it straight away. And then it comes up, and then that obviously affects your cancellation rate, because my cancellation rate was 0%. I know it's not a big thing, and people are thinking, oh my god, you know, mine's probably up to like 10 or whatever, but now it's gone to 1%, and you're thinking like, I've cancelled it because you're on the app and I've accidentally accepted it, and it's not even a job that you would accept, you know, because it was like a 4 mile job or something, which was going to take like 15 minutes, you know, and it was offering like I said, like £3.50 or something. So I don't know, I feel as though like the customer can cancel and that's fine, they don't get charged if they book and then they cancel within like a minute or 2 minutes. However, if a driver accepts the job and then cancels it, even if they check the item in the drop down menu to say, I've accidentally accepted this job, it affects your rating. So it's almost like it wants you to lie to then tick unsafe pickup, and then you have to lie and say like, you know, oh look, you know, the customer looks a bit rough, or they're drunk, or that it's kicking off or something, because only if you say it's an unsafe pickup or the customer doesn't turn up, then it doesn't affect your rating, you know. But if you're on your phone, you've accidentally accepted it, why can't you just cancel it straight away? Because it only goes back obviously into the pot, and then another driver's going to pick it up like 5 seconds later. So, you know, it's not like it's messing the customer around. So yeah, it's just one of them other things that Uber do, again, basically to piss on the drivers. You know, they don't do it to the customers, but they do it to the drivers. Like, I would love for them to allow a customer to book a job, and then the customer looks at it 10 seconds later and goes, oh, I've made an error there, I want to cancel it, or I need to change something. And then Uber goes, oh no, we're taking your money, thank you very much. They wouldn't do it, would they? Because obviously no one would then use Uber, because they'd just be seen as like money grabbers. But yeah, when they're happy to basically do that to the drivers, which is annoying, to be honest. But then that's Uber for you, you know, they don't care less about the drivers. So yeah, I'll carry on now, see what happens. Them other two jobs that have just popped up again, they're almost 8 miles away in Skelmersdale for like a 1 mile job, and it's offering me like £7.50 or £8. Thinking like, it's pointless, because even if you was dumb enough to accept that, you would accept it, you would start driving off, and then after about a mile the customer would cancel, because they would look and go, bloody hell, I'm not waiting 10 or 15 minutes for him to turn up, and then you've drove off, and then you don't get anything for it, because Uber sees it as, oh well, you know, the customer has some time, a grace period, you know, to cancel it, you know. But drivers don't get that grace time, but the passengers do, which is annoying. Go on, I'll accept that one, it's not too bad. I hate the way you do that. So I've just accepted that job, which funny enough is on the road that I live in, and it's going to Southport. It was like 20 odd quid, and the app's crashed. I've closed the app, loaded it back up, and I've just got a black screen. So yeah, it's working again. So yeah, I'll go and pick these up now, and I'll head to Southport. So it's just after 9 o'clock. I honestly haven't stopped. I've just had to log off to to give you a bit of an update. So yeah, the last update was at 4:30. Where was we? We were still in Ormskirk. So then I done a little Ormskirk into Bersco, which was £6.67, 8 minutes for 3.6 miles. I then had a that was that job that I had accepted, which was basically about three houses down from mine. It was on the same road I live on, basically, and they were going to Southport. So I accepted that. That was £20.23, 26 minutes for 14 miles. I dropped them off. I then had an XL straight away, £11.29, which was a 10-minute job for 2.9 miles. I then got I then had to drive from there back to Ormskirk for that reservation that I had. So as soon as I picked her up, she said, "Oh, you're going to be friends now to pick her up?" And that was before I had asked her. I said, "I was going to ask you that." I said, because obviously the way you've booked it was from yours to go to Southport to then come back to your friends. I said, so I was assuming you were going to pick your friend up. So she said, "All right, okay." So I said, "We can go and pick your friend up now and then just drive straight down there." I said, "But I don't know how you're going to amend it or something on the app. I don't know if it'll let you because it's a reservation." So she had a little look and she said, "Well, if I change this now, this is going to rectify the price, isn't it?" And I was like, "Well, probably, yeah, if it lets you, because it would if it was a normal job." And she said, "Oh, no, leave it then." She said, "Because you're going to miss out on money." And I said, "Yeah, no." I said, "But it's a bit unfair." I said, "Because, you know, I think she was about 60. She said, like, I'm not very computer savvy." She said that initially there was like loads of stops on it and she was messing around trying to figure it out. She's obviously just put it in the wrong order. And I said that, you know, it's charging you to go there and back and you're only going there. And she was like, no, honestly, it's fine." So I was like, "Well, it's up to you." Like, I wasn't going to argue with her. So it turns out I think she had more than enough money. She's just celebrating getting divorced from her husband after 33 years. So it's all just been finalised. So she was going to pick up her sister-in-law, who was obviously married to her husband's brother, and she too got divorced about 2 or 3 years ago from him. So we drove around to pick her up. We pulled up at this absolute mansion. You should have seen it. So the two of them got in. I dropped them off in Southport. So I got £27.42 for that. That was a 36-minute job, 13 miles basically to Southport. And then after I dropped them off, I then had the other reservation, which was the Ormskirk to Ormskirk. So I thought, oh Jesus. So basically I had to turn round, and this one turned out to be a bit of a wasted journey, because the job was £19.75 for 2.5 miles. So I thought, well, that's great because it's a really good paying job if you're in Ormskirk. But I just dropped off in Southport, so I had to drive 15 minutes back to Ormskirk. And then when I got there, it said starting timer now, which was like 12 minutes. And then the customer come out, and then it took me 6 minutes to drop them off. So all in, it ended up being about half an hour to get £19.75, which, you know, it's not horrendous, but it didn't pan out how I wanted it to be. I was hoping I was going to be in and around Ormskirk, and then I could have just nipped over and done it and made a quick 20 quid for 2.5 miles. So I dropped them off. The whole of Ormskirk at that point was then completely surging, but every job it was offering me was like 10 miles away over in Wigan and everything. I took some screenshots. The jobs were ridiculous that were coming through. Here's one here. I'm in Ormskirk. It's telling me to drive 18 miles or 25 minutes to Warrington to take someone to St Helens. So basically it was like a 40-minute job, which was like 24 miles. £18 for. I'm thinking, are there no drivers closer to Warrington than me? And then another one popped up. They wanted me to drive 20 minutes or 12 miles to Wigan. to do a 10-mile job or a 3-mile job. So like a half an hour job or a 15-mile job, £9.77. And I was like, if the whole of Ormskirk is surging, why are you trying to send me like half an hour away? It just made absolutely no sense. So I ignored lots of the jobs, about 15 minutes worth of jobs coming up, and then eventually got a surge job, £10.16, 4-minute job, 1.4 miles. I then done another little small job, £3.82, 4-minute job, 0.9 of a mile. Again, it wasn't a surge, even though it was all surging. And then had an XL, £7.80, 5 minutes, 1.7 miles. I then had an Ormskirk back to Southport again, including a £3 tip, was £18.78, 18-minute job, which was 9.4 miles. And then when I got into Southport, I've just done a little £5.96 then, which was a 5-minute job for 1.9 miles. So yeah, up to now I'm on £174.78. I've done, what are we on? Started at 2:30. So what? 6.5 hours. I've done 5.5 hours drive time. So it shows like I've only done 14 trips, but a lot of them have been like back and forth. I've been going from Ormskirk into Southport, from Southport back to Ormskirk, from Ormskirk back to Southport, and then I went back to Ormskirk again, and now I'm back in Southport again. So I kind of wanted to finish up here because obviously I was then going to decide, because I've got 18 miles of range left, so I can probably bounce around. It's just coming up to 1:45 now, obviously because I've been waffling doing the update. So I'll probably have enough now to do another couple of jobs, which will take me to 10 if I want to go and charge. But I was basically just going to break it down now to see if I was going to stay on or not, or basically go home. Yeah, so I'm on that 174 and I've done 6.5 hours. So it's coming out at just shy of £27 an hour, which is good, to be honest. And it's been busy, like I said, the whole night. I don't mind staying out if it's busy, and because I've been doing non-stop jobs since 2:30, I don't mind going on charge and taking the risk and stopping out. If it was like yesterday where I was on, what was it, like £18 an hour or something, and it was really slow, that's why I couldn't be bothered going on charge, because it's not worth it. It's not worth me paying 20 quid to, fully charge up if I'm not going to get that back. And also because it's still warm. I mean, it's still 13 degrees now, so basically it's been warm all day. I've been getting 3.4 miles per kilowatt, so I'm on just basically 130 miles now, and it's saying I've still got about 18 left. So that it'll probably take me to about 150 miles, which is good. I've had better, obviously. The warmer it gets, the more range you get. But basically, when I go on charge now, because it's warmer, the battery charges up quicker. So when it's been freezing cold, it'll take about an hour and a half, because I normally roll in when basically it's in limp mode, and then I'll leave when it's on like 99, 100%. So it'll take about an hour and a half if it's freezing cold. And then because it's freezing cold, I'm sat in the back and I've got the heating on as well. So obviously that's draining the battery as I'm trying to charge it up, but obviously I'm not going to sit there and freeze to death. Whereas when I go and charge now, the battery's going to charge up quicker because it's warmer, and plus I'm not going to need to have the heating on because it's warm. If I do need a little top up now and then, I've got the little heater which is connected to the 1 kilowatt battery that I've got behind the seat, and I've got a little the little clicker fob, so I can just turn that on if I need to top it up, so it's not taking it from the car. So then it should only take about an hour to charge up. So yeah, I'll go and jump on at 10. I should be off for 11, and then I might get another 1, 2, maybe 3 hours in. But again, as you know, Uber's just a complete it's basically gambling, but you know, you've just got to try and have a bit of an educated guess as to whether or not it's worth staying out or not. So yeah, other than that, it hasn't been too bad. I haven't had any idiots in or anything like that. And yeah, that's about it really. I was just double checking to see if any be surprised, like, but if there was any poor feedback or anything. But no, everything's been fine. Yeah, it's been a decent shift up to now. So it's just coming up to 9:20 now. I'm going to go back online and I will potter about for a bit, and then head down towards the charging point for about 10 o'clock. Where obviously when the tariff comes down, it's a little bit cheaper. So yeah, I'll give you another update once I've charged up, and then it's probably going to be midnight, if not 1 o'clock, for the next one. So so it's just turned 1 AM and I've just got home. Where was we before? Last update was about 9 o'clock. I think I waffled on for a bit there because I hadn't done an update for a while. I'd then only done one more job before I went on charge. It was a £7.32 7-minute job for 2.9 miles. I then drove over to the charging point, so I mean technically I didn't really work that half an hour, did I? Went on charge at 10, came off at 11:15. When I got on charge, it's the lowest that I've seen it for a while. It said I had 1% left. So yeah, it was a bit slow. When it first starts charging, because the battery's so low, it charges at like 2 kilowatts, which is like, I don't know, it's almost like a quarter of the speed I get at home, basically. So yeah, it done that for about 10 or 15 minutes until it built up a couple of percent, and then it ramped up. So yeah, that's what caused the delay there. Otherwise it would have been away a bit shorter, quicker even. Came back on at 11:15. Got my first job. It was an £8.87, an XL, 7-minute job, 2 miles. Yeah, done that one. I then had another little job. It was in Churchtown. Got over there, first 2 people got in, and then someone else climbs in, and they're like, oh, we're just waiting for somebody else. And then she climbs in, and she was like, oh no, I'm getting out because her husband was there or something. So then she climbs out, so then we pull off, and I don't know if it was a fella or whoever it was, he was saying to her, oh, why did she want to get in? And she said, oh, well, you know, he's been drinking. And she was saying to me, oh, I want to get in with you because he's going to be driving the car home now. I think, oh, fucking gang of clowns. So anyway, I pull off round the corner, and it was only a shortest trip. It's not on there now, it doesn't tell me any details. It was probably 2 miles. So we get about a mile into the trip, it's absolutely throwing it down, and then all of a sudden it just comes up and says customer cancelled. So I was like, so we'll look in the back, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I indicate to pull over, and so I say, like, have you just cancelled the job, mate? And he's like, no, I haven't cancelled the job. And I was like, alright, well, it's saying you've cancelled, look. I said, the job's gone off my phone. So straight away, this woman, she's half canned, she must be like the Karen of Southport. Oh, so what does that mean? What are you trying to say? We have to get out? So, I don't know, to me it just sounded like this is something they do. I don't know what sort of scam they were trying to pull or something. But she seemed to be like on it straight away. So he was like, oh, just let me check my phone. So he's checking his phone, and then again she's like, oh, so do we need to get out? And then you can hear her doing all this on the door. I said, I'm just asking. I said, I'm just wondering why the job's cancelled. I said, we're still like a mile away from your house. And he's like, oh, we said, oh, what it is, I've got my phone in my hand and I've accidentally pressed cancel. Now, there's more steps as a passenger you need to go through to cancel a job. You can't just sit there and just go boop, cancel the job. So I'm like, all right. I said, well, the job's ended now. I said, so from this point on, I'm not insured. I said, so I can't carry on the journey because you've cancelled it. So he's like calm and everything. He's just like, oh, well, can I rebook it? I said, well, you can try booking it. I said, but I don't know if you'll get me. I said, because obviously it's a Saturday night, there's loads of Uber drivers around. So she's like, oh, so what you're telling me is I need to get out in the fucking pissing down rain and start what? And I just thought, I can't even be arsed. So I just pressed the button on the back, so the door opened. So she just climbed out onto the road. And she's going, I just pressed the doors and the door just shut in her face. So she's just kicking off. She starts walking off in the rain. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. And I was like, well, I'm not sitting here getting fucking abuse, mate. I said, at the end of the day, you've cancelled the job. I'm trying to sort out with you, like, what's happened. I don't know if it's you. I don't know if my phone, something's happened. I said, I don't know. It's just come up. And he was like, all right, okay, yeah, we'll just walk from here. I was like, yeah, all right then, see ya. So this is part of the reason why, I was saying last week, I just don't know if I can be arsed working after 12 o'clock, because the first one I done was an XL. He was a guy who I picked up last weekend, and obviously there's 6 of them, but it was him and like his daughter was there. I think his daughter's like 12 or something, and she was like, he said as soon as it popped up we knew it was you, and she was going, oh yeah, I love his car and all this, so you get nice people like that, but then that was 11:15. The job after that was 20 to 12, and they're just the type of idiots you start picking up and you just think, oh, I just can't be arsed. And then the one after that, I had an XL 7-minute job, 1.6 miles. That was Birkdale Village to Lord Street, and as they were climbing in, as I'd started the job, and then another job popped up, which was Birkdale again to Lord Street for another £8.98. It's a 6-minute job, 1.6 miles again. But I come back, and then it was the typical like anchor. She got in, and then I think her boyfriend got in, and he was like, "Oh, let's just go home. I don't want to carry on going out." And then we're sitting there for a couple of minutes, and she was like, "Oh, sorry about this." She said, "We're just waiting for the others to come out." I'm like, "All right, okay." And then one more comes out and gets in. It's 3. I'm thinking, right, we've still got another 3 people here. So then the 3 minutes are gone. It's gone into the first minute chargeable time, and we're in the last minute. And I said, I don't want to be a Karen or anything. I said, you've got 1 minute left, and then I'm going to have to cancel the job. I said, because I've got other jobs to be going to. So then, just as I said that, the others start coming out. Now, bearing in mind, there's already 3 in, and now there's another group of 4 walking down. So obviously that's 7 people. And then I heard one of them say, such and such is with them. And then the lad in the back is like, oh, shh. As though like I'm not going to notice. I'm thinking, I can count fucking 4 and 3. I can put that together, you fucking idiot. So they start coming down, and then one of them shouts, oh yeah, Warriors will have to get in the front. So you get in, they all start climbing in the back, and the back row is a 3-seater, and I look in the mirror, there's 4 sat on it. So then, before they all got in, I turned around and I said, look, you aren't all going to fit, so one of these can't get in. So I sit there for a second, and because they're all rat-arsed, I just leave them to it. I don't get involved. And then I can hear her say, oh, how'd you shut this door? I said, you don't. And she was like, oh, what do you mean? I have to shut the door. I said, no, what? I shut the door. I said, when somebody gets out, I will then shut the door. And she's like, what do you mean when someone gets out? And she sat in the back looking round as though like she can't see, it's overcrowded. I said, there's only 5 seats in the back. I said, and there's 6 ears. I said, and the seat in the front is taken. I said, so somebody's going to have to get out. And then the lad's like, oh, it'll be alright, it's only round the corner. I said, I don't care where it is. I said, like, I can only carry 6. I said, and there's 7 people in the car. I said, so somebody's getting out. Oh, go on, oh, it's only round the corner. I said, look, either someone gets out now, or I'm going to cancel the job. So then it was like, oh, right, okay. So in the end, one got out the back and the guy got out the front. So I only ended up taking the 5. So so the other people, because they had cancelled that job before, you then can't leave them negative feedback. You basically have to go to help, trips, and left them negative feedback. So I give them negative feedback as well, because 1, they wasted my time, 2, they were arguing the toss because they wanted me to carry more people, and then it's all like, they all sit in the back, then start passing the comments of, oh, that's just fucking ridiculous, that. How's it ridiculous? It's just their stupidity, and just because they're tight asses, they've gone out in a group of 8, sorry, a group of 7, and they're thinking, oh, we'll book an XL and we'll all squeeze in. Just say to yourselves, like, come on, we'll have to book 2 X's. So that was, what time was that? That was at midnight, so that took me till not even 10 past midnight. I then wait around 20 minutes for a surge job, apparently. It was £5, 2p. Bear in mind, this is midnight. 5-minute job, 2.2 miles. And then I had a little drive down Lord Street. All the Hackneys were all parked up. There was a load of Ubers parked down one end of Lord Street. Ubers parked down the other end. I thought, oh, I'm getting off. So then I headed towards Ormskirk. I thought, I'll see if anything's happening here just before I head home. I drove through there. It was dead quiet. And what made me laugh was when you went in, there's like a little bit of a taxi rank. And I seen like 4 or 5 taxis parked up. And then as you drive in, you normally see like a couple of Ubers parked up and Deltas. Obviously, everyone's all like multi-apping. And then I don't know if they're new or not sure what it was, but like in the town centre, there was a row of like 5 Ubers all parked bumper to bumper. Like they created their own like Uber taxi rank or something. And it was funny, but it was almost embarrassing. It was, I think their logic behind it is the closer they get to the town centre, when people come out and book it, they're going to get matched to the job because they're like 4 foot closer than the cars behind. I was like, oh, how embarrassing. So I just left them all to it. Thought I'll leave it on as I drive home, see if anything comes up, and there wasn't. There was just crap, so I ended up just logging off and coming home. I think I only took one screenshot. I think it was the longest job tonight that popped up, but obviously I didn't do it. It was offering £46.13 to pick up. I was a mile away in Southport, and it was going 54 minutes away or 40 miles to Burnley. And I was thinking, I just could not be arsed doing that. And then I went on the where are we? Yeah, I went onto the Uber app and typed in Burnley to see how much an Uber actually was, because I thought, why are they only paying 46 quid? Bearing in mind it's like 40 miles. It's going to be an hour. So it's not even like you could say, well, I'll drive there and drive back empty, because then you're on, what, £23 an hour? It's just not worth it to do, what, 80 miles? Hell. So anyway, I went on the Uber app where I was and I typed in Burnley, and an Uber X was coming up as £55.96. So, you know, granted, they might have been, let me just have a little look on the map. You know, they might have been a tiny bit closer, but I wouldn't have thought. So it's almost like Uber were taking a loss of like £10 on that job just to get someone to do it. Oh no, sorry. They were taking a loss. They were getting paid 55 quid, taking £10 and then offering the driver, but I wouldn't even have done that for 55 quid. So yeah, I just took a screenshot of that because that was the biggest job that I'd seen that came up. So yeah, basically I finished on 221.56. I've done 9 hours, so that works out at £24.61 an hour. So yeah, not the greatest, to be honest. I don't know why my drive time hasn't updated. Still saying 3.5 hours. I said 3.5 hours, which was hours ago. I remember logging off earlier on this evening, and it said 3.5, so I'm not sure why that hasn't updated. So yeah, it goes back to the point that I made last week, which was, is it worth charging up and staying out? So I had a quick look over it before, and it's not. So like I said, I think it cost me about £22, £23 maybe for a full charge. I say full, I mean I've gone from 1% up to about 96, 97%, so you know, basically a full charge. Like, so from when I've come back on, It's took me an hour and 15 to charge, so we'll ignore that for a second and just see how much I've made between 11:15 and 1. So it's almost 2 hours, isn't it? So it was basically 8, 12, 13, 21, call it 22, 9, 31. I've made about £36. And that last job was 9:30. Half nine, bloody hell. midnight. But then, I've still been out for them almost 2 hours. So if you call it like that, what did I say? I can't remember now. About 34 quid or whatever it was, for like 2 hours. So, technically it's only like 15, like £17 an hour. So them last 2 hours were awful. Plus, up until that point, I haven't had a single issue all night. Everyone's all been fine. And then after that point, I've had a couple of arseholes that I've had to deal with. So it's like, one, it's not worth doing because before that I've been on good money all night. So the money's dropped right off, which is the first, obviously, negative. Secondly, you're then dealing with the arseholes. And then thirdly, you're getting home and it's gone 1 o'clock in the morning. So, like I said, it's cost me about £22 to let me do them last 2 hours. But then I've made like 34. So technically, I've only made about £10 for them 2 hours. So I'm on £5 an hour, which is obviously ridiculous. Now, if you also include the hour for charging as well, then technically that's over 3 hours. So if I've made like £34 or whatever it was, I've made about £11 an hour. Obviously, if you're including the charging hour as well, and then you're taking the £23 off. So like I said, it works out at like that £10. But now that £10 that you've made is now over 3 hours. So technically, the last 3 hours of the night, I've dropped from the average of, which was like 25, 26 quid or whatever it was, down to £3 an hour. So it's like, I laugh, but it's like, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I've come home now and I've got like just over half a tank. So again, like, it's pointless because like I didn't need all that charge. So yeah, I think going forward, I'm just not going to do it. I think I'm going to come out at roughly that time that I've done again today, which was 2:30. Maybe come out 3 o'clock or 3:30, because I pretty much ran out bang on at 10 o'clock. So if I've come out at the 2:30 mark, I've done like 7.5 hours thereabouts. So yeah, maybe like next Saturday, if I just come out at like 3 o'clock, I know that I'm going to get at least 7 hours. But like I said, the majority of that money I've made this evening, I know I'm on 221. So I probably made roughly £200 in those 7 hours. And then the last bit has just been a complete waste of time, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, I know I said it last week. I said like, I don't mind staying out and charging up if it's good, if I'm earning good money. But then it's just a gamble, because you'll charge back up, and you're hoping it's going to continue to be busy, but then it wasn't. It was crap. So then I've basically just wasted the last 3 hours. I should have just finished at 10 o'clock and just come home, and had a normal like early kind of night, and I still would have made like a decent wage for them 7 hours. Or the flip side of that, I could come out earlier on a Saturday. You could come out at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and work until 11 o'clock at night, do it that way, do your 12 or 13 hours like that, and I could just use a rapid charger during the day. Granted, I'd pay a bit more, but then, you're going to get all the early shoppers coming out, the people going out, with families and whatnot, and then it's been busy non-stop from when I came on at 2:30. So yeah, I think that's all I'll be doing next week. I think I'll just be knocking it on the head, basically charging up the 10 o'clock at night and I'm working through, because it's just not worth it. So yeah, other than that, that is about it really. I collected them last couple of points before, so I've now retained the platinum status. It now says collect another 674 points to achieve diamond. What else was there? And that was about it really, to be honest. There's no kind of like negative feedback that's been left. Confirmation rating is still continuing to come down. It's now on 19%. But yeah, the jobs that are just coming up are just ridiculous. What does this tell me here? So between the 22nd of February and the 23rd of March, yeah, so in the past month, I've been sent 1,472 jobs, and I've confirmed 267. So I've declined 1,142 jobs. You know, but I haven't declined them because they're good jobs. I've declined them because they're ridiculous jobs where they want me to travel miles and miles away. So I've said it for months now. I'm sure Uber have got some sort of like motive behind forcing people's confirmation ratings down. And then at some point in the near future, I reckon they're going to turn around and say, oh, by the way, if you've got a good confirmation rating, you're going to get these extra rewards, or you're going to be paired to more jobs or something like that, which will then make everyone think, oh fucking hell, I need to get my confirmation rating up, and then everyone will then start accepting every single job just to try and push that back up again. So yeah, I can see something coming about with that, because it's almost like they're just purposely doing it for some reason. So yeah, that's about it, to be honest. Decent night. Yeah, that's about it. There's nothing else I can add to it. So yeah, I'll catch you on the next shift, which is going to be Monday now, because I won't be doing tomorrow. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll